Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Greeting to the Honorable Chairperson, the Honorable members, and the staff. Chairperson, the economic freedom fighters join the world in commemorating International Day of Rural Women under the banner empowering rural women to bridge the gender gap in food security and land tenure. Every year on the 15th of October, the world celebrates the International Day of Rural Women, recognizing the critical role of women in rural areas. This day reminds us all of the major contribution of rural women to agricultural development, improving food security and eradication of rural poverty, and provides us an opportunity to reflect and identify the ways in which we can do more to empower women and girls living in rural areas, particularly when one considers that rural areas are the backbone of African economies. We gather here today to celebrate the resilience and determination of rural women who worked tirelessly to ensure food security and economic stability in their communities. Women who may depend on natural resources and agriculture for their livelihoods, who are often farmers, entrepreneurs, and workers. Amanina ahlala emakhaya ezilalini koqoboqobo eqonce nangaphesheya kwenciba egcuwa engamakhwe kutsolo nakunye zonke ezinye ilali eMzantsi Afrika naphesheya. Imbokodo, who played a significant role in the development of our nation through involved in production activities and also played the responsibilities for the well-being of the members of their families, including food provision and care for children and the elderly. Chairperson, there is no denying that women make significant contribution to the agricultural sector through their involvement in farming, food processing and preparation, land and natural resources management. They have a connection to the land which is profound, forged through generations of tradition and knowledge. And this hands-on relationship with the earth ensures the sustenance of her family and her community. However, it is concerning to note that despite the immune value women bring to both their immediate community and the broader economy, rural women often go unrecognized and underappreciated, as much of the work conducted by them often remains invisible and unpaid for. This is the face of many initiatives introduced to address the plight of women. This mainly due as a result of the poor implementation of policies to empower women, inadequate budget allocation, and lack of support revived from the GNU government. It is also concerning to note how very few women are agricultural landowners and have limited access to training, productivity, enhancing inputs such as quality, seed stocks, agrochemicals, and irrigation facilities and markets, to mention a few. Chairperson, rural women realities in this country is also still largely determined by race, class, and gender-based access to resources and opportunities, with Black women facing an even greater lack of access to resources, living in poverty and conditions which threaten their well-being. They also remain most vulnerable to violence in their communities and homes, and have an unequal access to family resources such as land and livestock. Rural women are not only poor in society as a whole, but also within their own families, where they are burdened with multiple roles. This is particularly true in South Africa, where the challenges faced by rural women are also exacerbated by lack of infrastructure. We still find women in rural parts of the country walking a long distance, fetch water, or or firewood for cooking, and carrying a large amount of the workload at home with less economic and decision-making power within household, which has implications for their health and nutrition. In many communities around the world, women also have limited access to education, healthcare, and financial resources, which all hinder the fulfillment of their potential. When women in rural areas do happen to find employment, Chairperson, they are mostly only employed as casual or temporary laborers during time of harvest or other labor-intensive farm worker. And even though they are directly involved in the production of food as farm workers, they sometimes go for days without eating. In cases where women work as seasonal workers on farms, they are often not granted the rights of permanent workers and are without pension funds, medical aid benefits, or basic maternity benefits. In parts of the Eastern Cape province, for example, in areas such as Cholomna, Ndabakazi, Tsomo, Aidutwa, and Matatiel, rural poverty is still a challenge, and the high rise in poverty produces and reproduces other human rights violations. In the Eastern Cape, in the Western Cape too, rural women far much worse. They face faceful evictions by farm owners from their land and are enslaved by their employers, who often pay them with wine instead of money, thereby creating alcohol dependence, which threatens any prospects of a better future for them and their families. Yet women are innovative, using indigenous knowledge and practices to adapt to challenges, be they environmentally, like changing weather patterns, or sociality. Chairperson, since its inception, the Economic Freedom Fighters has embarked on numerous programs and activities aimed at empowering and defending the rights of rural women, and in particular women workers, as they are the most exploited section of our society. The EFF has over the past 10 years worked tirelessly to engage farm workers with the purpose of finding lasting solutions to their suffering and problems. We have also advocated for empowering of rural women, which is crucial for achieving economic freedom and bridging the gender gap. As the Economic Freedom Fighters, we have consistently called for land ownership and control for women, as it is essential for women, and we are committed to promoting women's land rights and economic empowerment. We know of the pain that farm workers face, being mistreated and abused by their employers, and we call for an end to the abuse and mistreatment. We demand immediate action from this government. Reform land policies, advocate for gender-sensitive land reform that protects women's rights to own, inherit, and manage land. Truly support women farmers, increase access to credit, tools, seeds, training, and agricultural extension services for rural women. Invest in their education and leadership. Empower women through education, cooperative leadership, roles, and capacity building in agricultural governance. Strengthen legal protections, work with local and national government to enforce laws that uphold gender equality in land tenure and food system. Land tenure gives women security, stability, and a voice in community decisions. Without secure land rights, women cannot invest in or improve their farms, making them vulnerable to exploitation and displacement. Amplifying rural women's voices by including rural women in policy-making platforms, not just as beneficiaries, but as leaders and change makers. Chairperson, empowering rural women is not just a women's issue. It is a development imperative, as when rural women strive, their families eat, children learn, communities grow, and nation prosper. Empowering rural women is a collective responsibility for us. The economic freedom fighters remain committed to fight for the rights and empowerment of rural women, and we shall continue working to build a society where women can strive and contribute to economic growth. I so thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Machu.